data that matches your firm's year end. If you're not matching this up by the right period, then you're not comparing apples to apples. All right? So, which data to use? First of all, we want to start with these columns. It says comparative historical data. Now, I can appreciate, and I've said this before, and I do appreciate, this is all very complicated, it's all technical. I'm sorry. Numbers, finance, accounting, it's like that. And so you got to get this stuff right. Okay, so let me just explain one piece of background information for you. Let's assume that you've gone through all the steps and you're at the library, you found the book, the right book, and we're going to talk about that too, that's also confusing. And you know what your company's industry NAICS code is. We're going to talk about this also. But let's assume we've covered all those bases. And so you're looking at these 2 pages in the RMA book. There are 2 pages for each industry that's listed. Now, think about this. If this is a 6-digit code and it goes from 0 as high as it could possibly go, that would be what? 999,999 industry numbers. If there are 2 pages for each of those, this is 2 times, basically, 1,000,000. The book is not 2 million pages, okay? So every industry, every possible 6-digit code is not in the book. That's the first thing. I would guess, I don't even know. It's a thick book, I'll tell you that. Bless you. It's a thick book, but it doesn't have every industry code. In fact, we're going to see, I hope we get this far today, we're going to see when we do what's called the industry crosswalk that for many of your company's industries, you'll be given potentially 2 or 3 different numbers. And you're going to kind of have to figure out which one sounds the most like what I think my company does. And when you go to the library, take all 3 codes with you because, again, only one of them may be in the book. In fact, I've had students who will tell me that I got a number, but it's not in the book. Or I can't find a number for this company. Sometimes you're going to have to use your imagination. You may have to do Google. I'll tell you a company that this has happened for. Coach. The ladies may be more familiar with Coach than the gentlemen. They make purses and leather goods and high-end stuff. So anyway, what the students in the past who've used Coach have done is typed into Google NAICS code for Coach. All right, so you sometimes need to think a little bit outside the box. Okay, so you've got 2 pages for each industry that's in the book. This page, as you can see, we've got 3 columns of comparative historical data, newest, and then it gets older. And then we've got this column that says current data sorted by sales. On the other page, the left-hand page, it's got 3 more columns of comparative historical data that, again, are getting older. And then it's got columns kind of like this, but it says current data sorted by size. Size means total assets, all right? We don't want sales, we don't want size, we want comparative historical data. Now, if you were doing this in a different class, another instructor, in fact, the guy who used to do a project sort of like this, Dr. Francesi, teaches an accounting, I think it's 340, he retired. So I don't know what his successor is doing, but I do know that he does, or he was doing something similar to this. Point is, the reason we are using comparative historical data is it has the largest number of companies in it. There are 329 companies in this industry, this particular time interval. If we were doing this by size, the largest grouping is 1 to 3 million in sales, and that's 103 companies. Like I said, that may be more appropriate in a different setting, but in this class, I want you to compare it to the maximum number of companies possible. The other issue with doing this is that for some industries, you're going to have a column here, but it's not going to have any data in it. That makes it kind of hard to use, as you can appreciate. So this comparative historical data will always have numbers. All right, so we're going to start out by getting the right label, comparative historical data. Now, the second point is you have to match your company's year end that's an interesting way to spell that. With the correct RMA interval. And we're going to use the timeline to do this. Using the timeline worksheet example provided. Okay, now we're going to start with, I really don't want to erase that, but I think we're going to have to. So we're going to start with your company's most recent year end, or at least one that'll go in the book. So I don't know quite when to go into this business. This is the one that matches Dick's. And I want to explain this. Okay, here's what I don't know. I know based on having taught this class in the summer that this was the most recent report in the library this summer. Now, it's possible they have gotten the newer edition. Even if they have, let's not worry about that. This step is complicated enough without trying to use a different year. Okay? So what I'm going to tell you is kind of going to sound like what I told you about FATO versus the industry. I'm going to call this point number 3. The library RMA book label is off by 1 year. In other words, the book that is labeled 2017, 2018 two L's there, labeled. No, just one? Actually, so the book labeled 2017-2018 actually contains what I'm showing you here, 2016 to 2017. And again, the way this works, it always starts in April of one year and ends in March of the following year. I don't know why. It just is what it is. It's kind of like your parents telling you, because I say so. This isn't because I say so, I'm just telling you the way it is. All right? I didn't make this decision. All right, so the book says 2017, 2018, but the page is going to look like this, and it's going to have 16 to 17. All right, so that's the one I want you to use. Even if there's a newer one, use this one. All right? Okay, now, so I'm going to identify Dick's, and I don't want to write Dick's because you're going to be using a different company. Identify your firm's year end